Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. It is August 29, 2024, and you have probably not seen the Dana Bash interview on CNN as of yet. I have a couple of video clips for you, but it is airing shortly. I was not going to watch it. I was going to protest it just because it's edited. I would assume that it's going to be edited. I would assume that there's not going to be any pushback from Dana Bash whatsoever, even if she asked some of the tougher questions. One of the questions I witnessed a question earlier. Someone played a clip. I can't recall who, and it was a decent question, but there was absolutely no pushback when Kamala Harris just said she has the same values. We actually have a clip of that that I'll share with you. But I decided to talk about what questions would I ask? What questions should you ask of Kamala Harris, since she's not out on the trail answering questions, and the only questions that she's answering is in a prearranged, pre-taped interview where maybe not, I don't know. Maybe she got the questions in advance, and then you have Governor Tim Walz alongside of her, kind of holding her hand to be her support animal or whatever he is, her support pervert. I just have a creepy suspicion about that guy. You don't put tampons in boys' bathrooms and not be weird, as he would say. That's just weird and disgusting. So I was thinking of some of the questions that I would ask Kamala Harris, and actually we'll play a couple video clips for you as well. Because and I'm curious what you would ask of her, because I think this lady needs to be grilled. She absolutely does. But I thought I would start with this. And by the way, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. Por favor. All right. But how does it feel to win the nomination without a single vote? That's a question. That's never happened. I mean, we are experiencing all of these first in American history, and that one is on the top of the chart. So that's one that I would start with. How does it feel to know that you won the nomination without a single vote, without enduring a primary? Does that feel democratic to you? I'd love to hear her explain that, wouldn't you? That'd be one of the questions that I would ask her. Another question that I would love to ask Kamala Harris is, are you running the country? Because we know that Joe Biden is chilling on the beach, and we now know that he was pushed aside because he's mentally incapacitated. The 25th Amendment was threatened. So are you running the country? And if you're not running the country, who's running the country right now? Wouldn't you love to hear the answer to that? I certainly would. I've got more questions that I'd love to ask, but before I do, let me just let me talk to you about priority gold here real quickly. Economists have warned that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and your 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. In times like this, Proverbs 21:20 reminds us to preserve what we built. Right now, that wisdom points us towards gold. If you haven't had your eye on gold, it's time to make it a priority. My name is Carl Jackson, and I am urging you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings with physical gold and silver. You can give them a call at 1-800-405-GOLD or visit PriorityGold.com/gold. And remember, gold is a hedge against inflation. For a free gold info guide, make sure you call that number, 1-800-405-GOLD+. See if you qualify for free shipping and storage. You can act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Again, call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit PriorityGold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405/golden. And also MyPillow, they're still offering deals to my listeners. You've asked and MyPillow has listened. They're finally bringing you the most requested offer ever. Right now, you can get the queen size My Premium pillow for just $19.98. MyPillow is made with their patented adjustable feel. It adjusts to your exact individual needs, so you'll love that. Regardless of your sleep position, you'll feel comfortable. It helps keep your neck aligned, and it holds its shape all night long, so you get the best sleep of your life. Plus, it stays cool if you get hot and sweaty and all that kind of stuff. But that's not all. You can get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets for only $25. Their brand new mattress topper for as low as $69.98, and their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25, and so much more. You cannot beat that with a bat. Go to mypillow.com or give them a call at 800-858-0263 or use the promo code Carl, CARL, to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen size MyPillow that's just $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay. Order today. Use promo code Carl at checkout. All right, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to play a video for you right off the bat. I believe this is a portion of the interview, if I'm not mistaken, with Dana Bash. Let's see what she has to say. Apparently, she admitted that the Inflation Reduction Act was a backdoor way to get the Green New Deal, at least according to Jack Posobiec. But anyway, let's play the video clip. This is Kamala Harris on CNN. Video clip 1, please.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
Okay, that value has not changed. I'm a globalist, and yes, I'm responsible for the Inflation Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act, which, by the way, caused inflation in America to skyrocket. We had already gotten stimulus packages from the Trump administration. There was no need for any more stimulus packages when the Biden-Harris administration came into office. They decided to do that. Biden and Harris did. And remember, she was the deciding vote for the Inflation Reduction Act that set inflation skyrocketing in the United States of America. This lady, and she didn't answer the question, obviously. She avoided the question. I didn't hear any pushback, at least in that clip, from Dana Bash, but we'll have to see. But there you go. Kamala Harris admits that she's responsible for the Inflation Reduction Act. She admits in that very clip that she's a globalist. I'm not even sure if she realizes that. This is scary. This lady cannot be in control of the White House. So more questions that I would ask Kamala Harris, and I'm going to get back to the economy in just a second. So how long did you know Joe Biden was mentally incapacitated? How long did you know? I mean, you said before you ran him over with your electric school bus, you said that he was sharp as a tack. You said that he was a smart guy in control. I'm paraphrasing. So when did you know? Because now you're the nominee, so you had to throw Joe Biden under the bus. So when did you know? And I guess a follow-up question would be, why did you cover up for him? I think that's an important question to ask. Somebody needs to ask her that. What about Afghanistan, the Afghanistan withdrawal? That's another question. She said that she was the last person in the room, right, to make that decision with Joe Biden, and she feels comfortable about the decisions that she made. I'd like to know if Kamala Harris still feels comfortable with that decision, given the fact that we brought a lot of illegals into the country, given the fact that 13 service members were killed on that day due to the fact that, and plus we left billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of our military equipment that the Taliban recently used for a parade. I'd like to know if she's still okay with that decision. I'd like to know from Kamala Harris when it comes to, we've never been, we're closer than we've been since World War II to the brink of another world war. And it's thanks to the Biden-Harris administration. Russia has invaded Ukraine. That's the biggest war that they've seen on the European front since World War II. You have Iran and it's Iran. Don't get it twisted. Attacking Israel via their proxies, and also going directly in some instances, or at least trying to, but using Hezbollah, using Hamas. Does she stand with Iran or does she stand with Israel? I'd really like to know. I really like to know. You got, I mean, Venezuela, you got Taiwan chomping at the bit, or China chomping at the bit to take over Taiwan. You had a spy plane, not a spy plane, but the spy balloon that traversed all across the United States of America. I'd like to know what role, what was her decision-making process? Was she involved in the decision-making process whatsoever? I think those would be some good questions to ask, don't you think? Inflation Reduction Act, globalists. Why are we worried about these other countries? I mean, this is absolutely amazing to me. So she just admitted that she was the deciding vote in the during the for the Inflation Reduction Act. I'd love to ask her if she knows what causes inflation, because there's a headline. Let me see if I could get to this right away. Por favor, if you can hold on with me for just a sec, I'm going to have to do some refreshing here to make sure I can get to it. Wait a minute. Okay, 6:45. I'm looking at different timelines here. Forgive me. This is almost live, but it's not live at the same time. Let me see. Hold on just a second. Good Lord. All right. I'm sorry. I would say this is live, but this isn't technically live, but I am researching live and I can't find what I'm looking for. Okay. I see why I passed it. All right. So there's a couple of headlines that I just want to share with you real quickly. I'd like to know, the interview. Obviously, the interview is happening this evening. I'm going to be checking out in a moment. I wasn't going to watch it, but I decided to torture myself for you. Why did it take you so long to decide on an interview? Why are you only willing to give a taped interview? Don't the people deserve to know and hear from you? Why are you hiding? What do you have to hide? Why are you only willing to go on friendly networks? I'd love to know how you feel about Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., fellow Democrats, saying there's no way in heck they would vote for you. I'd like to know, why is it that 92% of your staff decided to leave you behind? What does that say about your leadership skills? Here's the headline. Kamala Harris, an economic advisor, laughed at by hosts when pushing tax on unrealized capital gains. So Kamala Harris's campaign recently confirmed that she supports all the nearly $5 trillion in tax increases in President Biden's 2025 budget proposal. So she supports $5 trillion in tax increases. That means more money out of your hands, hardworking Americans, more money into the government's hands that's been blowing our money. They're going to spend that money and cause inflation to rise again. And your dollar is going to get even weaker and your taxes are going to get even higher. She doesn't understand what causes inflation. So I guess another question I would have is, Kamala Harris, since you've never been a business owner or since you've never been a governor, what qualifications do you have to be the president of the United States of America? And why should we trust you as president, given the fact that you've already been in office for 3.5 damn years and the world is on fire and so is America? I'd really like to know. An inquiring mind would love to know that. Also, you said you grew up. Here's another one. You said you grew up in a middle class, neighborhood. Your mother was an activist, but your mother was a PhD. You said you guys couldn't afford to buy a home, and she had to save for all these years. Isn't it true that you were just moving around because your mother was a PhD and she was getting different job offers in different places? So you lived in Berkeley, you lived in Montreal, Canada, in upper middle class, but really left-wing areas. Isn't that the case? I mean, your mother was a PhD, your father was a PhD. It's really hard to imagine that you grew up in poverty. You know what I'm saying? Or that you know what it's like to struggle. I mean, I'm sure, obviously, with your parents being divorced, that is an issue. I don't want to minimize that. Kids that go through their parents divorcing, that's really hard on a child. But don't sit here and pretend like you were. Don't sit here and pretend like you're really struggling. Here's another one. I think this is a good one. Nobody's asking this question. Here's what I'd love to ask Kamala Harris. Given the fact that you come from a lineage of slave owners, all right, of slave owners on your father's side. I don't know about your mother, but on your father's side, given the fact that you come from a lineage of slave owners, what gives you the moral authority to impose DEI, CRT, equity, and all this kind of stuff into the federal government? Aren't you? Didn't you get a little more than your cut based on your family heritage? See, this is why the reparation stuff, none of that crap works. Everybody would owe everybody something. It's just still silly. I'd like to know, since she was a former prosecutor before Alvin Bragg's case against Trump, since she was a former prosecutor, the Alvin Bragg's case against Trump in New York, that New York case, I'd like to know if she's ever seen anything like it. If she's ever seen something that could potentially be a misdemeanor, writing some type of documentation down on your business paperwork, how that potential misdemeanor could become 34 felonies. She's never seen anything like it. We already know that. It's the first time it's happened in American history. I also like to know, are you staying on top of the Trump assassination? I mean, we had your opponent, former president of the United States, who was damn near killed on stage. The Secret Service seems absolutely, at least the leadership, I don't know, incompetent. It's weird. I guess incompetent is the right word to use. Wink, wink. What are you doing? Are you staying on top of that? Are you making sure the former president is staying safe? Are you safe? Remember, you walked by a pipe bomb, allegedly, during the DNC convention back in 2020. What's up with that? You know anything about that? Have you heard anything from the Secret Service regarding that? You have you seem to have fun, or you seem to enjoy bringing up J6, but you had a bailout fund for BLM rioters in 2020. Would you like to offer your apologies for that, since they caused way more damage than any J6 protester ever did? You'd like to do that right now? Vice President Kamala Harris, that's been in office for 3.5 years and running a campaign like you haven't been. I don't know. Now would be a good time. What do you think about Facebook censorship and social media censorship? Now that we know the Biden-Harris administration was a part of the censor, actually, we've known this for quite some time, given the Twitter files. But now that Zuckerberg is pretending like he's sorry for it and has come out and said it's something that he regrets, which I don't believe him, but nonetheless, he said it. But you guys had a part to play in that. The FBI had a part to play in that. Are you really against the First Amendment rights in America? Why did you guys do that? Why did the Biden-Harris administration work with Facebook to censor fellow Americans? Now, why did you flip-flop? I want to go back to that question. You flip-flop on the border. You flip-flop on fracking. You flip-flop on EVs. You're damn near 60 years old. Are you really changing your viewpoints? You say your values haven't changed. Okay. I don't even know what that means, because your policies have changed, and they've changed drastically in a very short period of time. And you're 59, 60 years old. What makes that type of change occur? Policy changes literally within a month. How does that happen? Why did you steal Trump's no tax for tips pledge? I'm just curious. I'm just curious. These are some of the questions that needs to be asked of Kamala Harris, and they need to be pressing. And frankly, it shouldn't be Dana Bash doing it. It should be, independent journalists. It should be part of the press corps, the White House press corps, even asking her tough questions. She should not have the right, as the president, to evade questions that are from journalists that are supposed to represent. We know that that's not necessarily the case today, but they're supposed to represent the people. Let me make sure that I've got. Oh yeah, the Supreme Court keeps a pause on Biden's the Biden-Harris effort to forgive student loans. Why are you for bribing college students to pay off their loans? Are you at all bothered by the fact that you would pay off the loans for college kids today, but there are people that have recently paid off their loans that aren't going to get their money back, and that hardworking middle-class Americans are going to have to pay for people that'll probably be their bosses one day? Are you really down for that, or is that just a Biden? Is that just Biden? Are you proud of working with in the Biden-Harris administration? Why are you trying to distance yourself so much? Hey, by the way, Kamala Harris, Ford Motor is pumping the brakes on its DEI commitments. Are you upset with corporations for pumping the brakes on their DEI commitments? You've had Lowe's recently do it. Ford has recently done it. Harley Davidson has recently done it. Tractor Supply. All of these people are reneging on DEI commitments because they're losing money. They don't want to lose customers. Would you force those companies to impose DEI commitments? And if you would, wouldn't that be fascism? I'm just curious, Kamala Harris. I think you should answer these questions. There was an illegal immigrant caught driving with no license after killing a motorcyclist, and obviously we're going to hear about more and more cases like this. Here's the summary. How many more Americans need to die before our politicians decide to crack down on illegal immigration? This is according to Fox News. A man in the country illegally and accused of hitting and killing a New Orleans, Louisiana journalist Friday was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs during a court hearing Tuesday. According to reports, Jorge Martinez Sanchez, 29 years old, was charged with negligent homicide, reckless operation of a vehicle, and driving without a license in a crash that happened just after 7:30 a.m. on Friday. The Louisiana State Police said that morning, troopers responded to a multi-vehicle crash on the Crescent City Connection Bridge in downtown New Orleans. When they arrived, they learned 48-year-old Mark Dean of Gretna, Louisiana, had died in the crash. Are you bothered by stories like this, knowing that you and Joe Biden have kept the borders wide open? And you mentioned, by the way, that it's Trump's fault that you guys didn't get a border bill passed. But Trump didn't need legislators to get a border bill passed. He did Remain in Mexico and all the Remain in Mexico, policy. He did that via executive orders. How come Biden didn't do that? Did you ever talk to him about that? I mean, these are some questions that I think need to be asked. Oh, by the way, by any chance, did you call the family members of Jocelyn Nungaray or Rachel Moran or Laken Riley, these beautiful American women that were killed by illegal aliens that broke into the country due to the Biden-Harris administration? Have you called any of them? Talked to their parents? Talked to their family members? Talk to their kids in Rachel Moran's case? I'm just curious about that. Really like to hear an answer from you. I had some more questions that I want to ask. I want to make sure that I don't miss. Okay, I think I got them all. Pretty good at this, Gabe. Guys, listen. I want to remind you that, if this chick wins, I'm just going to be real with you. You better get your pantry ready. Forget the 3-4 week supply. Make sure you got a year, because we're all going to be starving to some extent. Anyway, listen, guys, I want to remind you that Priority Gold is a hedge against inflation. Some people are going to do well. Obviously, she's a globalist. She admitted it in that first clip. But economists are warning that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and your 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. In times like this, Proverbs 21:20 reminds us to preserve what we built. Right now, that wisdom points us towards gold. So if you haven't had your eye on gold, it's time to make it a priority. My name is Carl Jackson, and I'm urging you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings and with physical gold and silver. Call 1-800-405-GOLD or visit PriorityGold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Again, call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit PriorityGold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405-GOLD. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. I'm curious if you have any questions. You can contact me. All things social media at the Carl Jackson Show, X, Instagram, Facebook, True Social, and Getter. I'm also on Threads as well. And then if you want to subscribe to the podcast or share this podcast with people, please find me at thecarljacksonshow.com. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good, and God bless you.